Let's talk some toys in here.
Hey, what's up everyone? Today is the Man Child. Alright, so today for review, I got in my Mattel Creations Masterverse new Eternia Vykron. Yeah, pretty cool, you know. I'm excited to see this figure set, or technically it's a figure with some change of different accessories and outfits you want to call it. So if you're not familiar, going back a long time ago, Vykron was what He-Man could have been. So he was an original prototype created by the toy designer Roger Sweet, who worked on the Mattel, at Mattel in the 70s and 80s, and worked extensively on the Master Universe toy line. So he created the, like in this image here, this was supposed to be what it would have looked like if Vykron went into production. And then later on, he was evolved into the He-Man that, you know, we all were familiar with the vintage line, and of course what the animation did, so forth and so on. He was also known as the He-Man Trio, of course, because, yeah, it can be three different types of He-Man. Barbarian, Spaceman, and Eagle Tank, or we'll call Eagle Tank Warrior. That's how they have it set up. And when the classics came around, he kind of gave him a whole new backstory. So he's basically a He-Man who can shapeshift and had different powers and abilities, I want to say, from what I know. But it's pretty neat to finally have one in the Masterverse line. So now taking a little closer look at the front of our box. So yeah, we got, of course, Vykor and his Barbarian stance there. We have the Spaceman set up off to that side, and we have the Eagle Tank Warrior now. The box is pretty much the same type of packaging or box like Dark Lynn. Basically a shoebox. Cool art on it, but yeah, it's I would have rather a clear window. I don't know, something a little more collector friendly. I think, because I think once I cut this guy out of here, it's not just something you're gonna pop back into a inner bubble and snap in. You know, I like that, but that's not what they chose to do anyway. So if we spin around here, check that out. Got some really awesome art. So again, we have a Barbarian pose fighting Vykron in his Barbarian pose fighting, looks like the Army of the Dead. Then we have his Eagle Tank armor set up there, fighting some kind of futuristic, or yeah, like stormtroopers or something. And then of course the Spaceman setup or future setup. Yeah, some starships going there, some kind of big mechanical centipede. And then if you open the side up, you can extends a little more art. We got like it could be a futuristic Eternia or something going there. So then now we have a bio on the side here. So before I open the box up, let's take a look at that. So here's a closer look at the bio. If you're interested, you want to pause and read that. And moving back to our box opening, so we have like a cover, kind of a slip cover or inner cover. Check. Okay, so it pops out like that. There's our figure. And it's pretty neat. So you get like a poster card or a backdrop or just a cool piece of art. Check that out of Vykron. Once again, it's Barbarian setup fighting that Army of the Dead. So here's my Army of the Dead guy back here. I custom made one. And it's going back to the Origins line that was seen in the Wonder card art, but he fits more with the Masterverse because of size. So that's my Army of the Dead guy. So it'd be cool to see these in Masterverse because the Origins actually have their own coming out this year. And if we flip this around, there's some more of that futuristic art. Yeah, just kind of a back. I don't know if this opens up anymore. Nah, it's what you get, but it's, yeah, awesome. Really awesome details. And with that cardboard piece of art removed, yeah, there's your Vykron all set up in his Barbarian tire. And of course, you can see how some of the accessories are kind of banded in there, and they're like on, it's like cardboard bands, huh? So you can see the Spaceman, the Eagle, you know, it's like a gun, the axe. And then you got this lower part here that's going to come out where the rest of the accessories are in. So I'm starting to remove Vykron and his accessories from the box now. That's kind of cool. The cardboard piece pulls out like that. You can see, and you can actually untie everything. I guess you want to put them back. You can save these or use some other type of ties maybe. I mean, it's a lot of work. If you took a snapshot, you weren't sure how everything goes from the front to back. And then, like I said, the box comes apart. And so that's pretty neat. It's not like it goes through the box itself. I mean, obviously you have the art in the back. And then you close, you got a full box. But once again, yeah, it would have been just cool to have a plastic insert bubble, you know, maybe this piece on the bottom, bubble on top, and that's how the figure popped in. There's accessories like that. But all right, it's not what they did. It is what it is. But I just want to point that out. All right, so I have Vykron and all his accessories removed from the box. We're going to get to them in 1 second. But this is a quick look at what the classics did with their Vykron. It was in, I think, a San Diego Comic-Con exclusive. So you kind of see, same thing set up in that Barbarian setup. And this window's so awesome. See, it would have been so cool if the Masterverse did something like this. But anyway, yeah, a little more elaborate. Pretty neat. The Spaceman and the, this one has actually an Army tank head and different different chest harness. And here's a quick look at the Classics Vykron bio if you want to pause and read that. So moving on to Vykron out of box. Of course, he's in his Barbarian setup. Yeah, really cool head sculpt. I like it. It has a very Barbarian look. Something that could have been out of Conan. All right, zoom in for a closer look. So it has that Roman type helmet on. It's really soft material. That almost like a German First World War helmet or something. Reminds me of a little bit. Now it's all part of the. All right, see, it's all part of the. It's glued on or something, or part of the sculpt. I'm gonna say glued on. It's not meant to come off. Yeah, eyes are just really painted, sculpted well in there. Interesting hair. You know, it's got just the hair comes all the way around like a Barbarian He-Man would have been, but dark brown. Right, there's the back and all the details. So as far as the articulation with the helmet, right, we go down, back, spin left to right. He also has this fur back piece, fur armor, you want to call it. Something similar to King Grayskull. So, you know, it's neat that you get that. Could have been plastic, and so they didn't do that. And it's sometimes it falls back. The right, you know, will fall. It slides over the armor. You can see how it hooks on with a couple Velcro straps. So it might fall down like that. It looks like some angel wings. But it's meant to slide on. You want these pieces over the shoulder like that. And then to take it off, like I said, we have these Velcro straps here, so you can pull this piece apart on that side. And just pull that one apart. And then this whole piece is going to come right off. And there's a closer look with it off the body. There's the two straps there. All right, we'll fur on this side, and you kind of see how it's sewn on it. This is the inside. So moving on by taking that fur piece off, yeah, just typical Masterverse style buck and body. And he's got this unique chest armored, cross armored, kind of like, yeah, just going back to what He-Man evolved into, with his that own unique armor he always has. We know, going back to the vintage or the animation. So we have two straps here. So just pop it apart. You can just see the two buckles. So I'm gonna break this side off here, and then this side, and then we can take the whole armor off without removing the head. And here's a closer look with the armored off the body. And of course, we have a weapon holder in the back there, where you can see all the detail, cross piece here, all the steel plates up, the little you know, steel plates up top and the bottom. And then of course with the armored off, here's the buck, front and back. So we know we're real familiar with the articulation. We can spin back and forth, go forward and back with the ab crunch, spin at the waist. As far as the arms, so yeah, just typical Masterverse arms, but we'll test the articulation, right? Go up, let's see, mine's already stuck. Up, okay, down, there goes forward, back, bicep swivel, and all the way up the elbow. Both arms are exactly the same. He has these unique metallic gray wrist bracers. They're identical on the left and right side, so it looks like you could take them off. Actually, that's cool. Yeah, they can come right off with the hands. And so let's pop a hand off first. Let's say, okay, so there's your peg with that hand, and there's the bracer off the hand. And there's a closer look at that bracer off the, the arm. Check that out. It's real soft material. So putting the bracer back on, let's leave them on for now. But as I said, they're exactly the same as far as the hands. So Vykron comes with two semi-closed weapon gripping hands, I call them, right? Of course, they can spin. And I think this one, okay, so this one goes up and down on that. Like, I have the power kind of hinge joint, it looks like to me. And then this side looks like the hinge joint goes in and out. So moving on to the waist, we know he spins at the waist, has a typical new Eternia style, like the Viking He-Man belt. The long loincloth, really soft and flexible. It's just a dark, light brown color rather. The leg articulation is all the same, but we'll test it out. So go all the way out with a split and kick forward, back about that far, bend all the way up the knee. Has that thigh cut and can spin at the boots. And moving down to the boots and ankles, so he comes set up with these shin protectors, shin guards. They're both identical here. And so it looks like they, it's like a gray, flat, kind of metallic steel to match the bracers. And they're just two buckle straps on each side, so we'll pull them apart. All right, so I got the top one apart okay. The little one's really hard to get your fingers in. You got to work to get that apart, but once I did, broke off easy. So I'm going to take that bracer off. And there's a closer look at the, I call it bracer, ankle or shin guard. Right, you can see that. Of course, we know the straps, and it's soft and flexible and has like a little blue, I don't know if it's a jewel or something in there, or just a piece of steel. So here's a look with both of those shin guards off, as far as the typical, looks like He-Man boots, the big fur pair white, and of course the lower part is brown. We know they can spin, as I said, and then the foot can go up and down, spin left to right. And here's a quick look with Vykron. Sorry, sometimes I might call him Vicor. I got Vicor in mind. I mean Vykron. Set up with, so I put the chest armor back on. I just left those lower shin guards off and left the wrist bracers on. So you want to keep them, set them up something like that. Here's a quick look. So moving on to accessories as far as the Barbarian Vykron setup. We got this really cool axe painted in a metallic silver. Take a look at that. And then you get this, I guess it's a battle ram or something. First I thought it was a gun, but the mouth don't open, doesn't articulate. Almost looks like this piece would go forward with a hydraulic piston. It doesn't move, but you do have a moving handle and a top grip here, so I'm assuming it's for the Barbarian. It doesn't matter what setup, but I'm going to say the Barbarian setup, so you do get that. Now here's a quick look with Barbarian Vykron all set back up and the axe in hand. Check that out. And then the axe can store in the back of that, like a sword holder. You don't have a sword, but you can get a He-Man sword and put it back here, but it does hold the axe. And this fur piece, I'll kind of go over. I don't think it's, maybe you can put it under it, maybe? I think you maybe put it under it. Okay, and I just pulled the fur piece down and slid the axe, you know, in the opening like that, and it sits well. Okay, and here's a setup with that battle ram in Vykron, or Barbarian Vykron's hand. You want to check that out, right? You can smash some castle doors down, I guess, with that thing. So moving on to some more accessories. So I broke Vykron all down now, right, with the Barbarian setup. And, oh, this is for the Eagle Tank Warrior. I'm sorry, I just noticed that in the box. It does look cool on Vykron, though. You want to use it for a battle ram, but that's what it's for, who it's meant for. Anyway, so these are all the parts you get when you open up this box. You can see the big mess in there stuff. So here's all the accessories for the Eagle Tank Armor Warrior. So we're going to set Vykron up like that next. So take a look at all those. So taking a closer look at those parts, of course, one of the coolest, or most noticeable, is the helmet or headgear. So yeah, it's a big, obviously, eagle. The mouth does articulate, which is neat. Okay, so it spins up like that. Got some painted eyes. I guess that would be see-through mouthpiece, actually. See, there's a hole in there. That's going to, at first I didn't know if the head popped off, the ball peg went in there, but you're actually just going to keep that Viking-style, Barbarian-style helmet in. So that point is going to rest inside that hole. It looks like it's going to fit over the head, something like that. Put it on a second. But, yeah, really cool detail. Neat piece. You can see the back here. And, yeah, the blasters are cool, too. And they also articulate. Right, just go up and down like that. And then you get a pair of army green wrist bracers. It looks like some kind of punching claws or something like that. And they are marked left and right. It looks like, I don't know, it doesn't look like it matters to me, but they are marked. Just want to show that so you can see a left in there and then a right. The next up, you got the main body armored, so you can see it's just a real soft piece there. With that it almost looks like a piece from Mechaneck. Then you get a pair of the dark or army green, you know, shin guards, of course. You can see where the knee protective pieces are, flexible. Kind of seeing there's also left and right marked on those as well. And then you get a left and right shoulder guard, looks like, that's going to snap onto this armor, something like this. And then, of course, you get that battle ram, which is meant for Eagle Tank Warrior, which I showed earlier. Okay, so once again, we have Vykron all stripped down. Might as well take the hands off and, you know, all the pieces that set up as the Barbarian. So we'll put these wrist bracers on. Here's the one for the right side. We'll put the left one on. We'll snap the hand back in. And do the same with the left side. So next I'm going to put the ankle bracers or boot protectors, or we want to call them. All right, so just going to push this right on like that. And you can see they got these little buckle kind of straps that push in there. Okay, so that locked in like that, and you do the lower one. Let's see how that fits. All right, not too bad. Pushes and seems to lock okay. And the same with the left side. All right, just put it on like so. So next I'm going to put the body armor on. Now it looks like, I don't know if you can force it over the helmet. Okay, yeah, so it's popped down, so you don't have to take the head off, in other words. So it's a slide right down like that, as you can see. Right, and just get this, you know, these two straps here, and they're going to go on these pegs in the back. So interesting point with my Vykron armored setup. So I got this one strap on, obviously the left side, and it's really tight. It's surprised it's so short to try to get it together. You know, I don't know if it's just my figure, but I can barely get that strap on. You got to really force it, maybe heat it up. All right, with a little force, it looks like that. So next we'll put the shoulder guards in, or shoulder protectors. So again, there's the left and right side. I don't know if it matters, look the same, but I follow the instructions. So I'll push this side in like that. And then the left side's going to pop right in. And now let's push our helmet down. So again, we'll put this make sure this mouthpiece is closed, looks like. We want to set this point up inside that hole in there if we can. Got to mess around and adjust it, you know, but And now here's a look at Vykron and his Eagle Tank armored setup. Pretty cool. Check that out. So taking a closer look with that Eagle helmet on, so we know the blasters move up and down. Yeah, you got to mess around with it. It's not, try to get that head to fit in there where the helmet's not sloppy. I mean, once you get it over the hair, it seems arrested, but see, when you go to close the shield, the head pops up. Would have been cool if I had a ball peg system. Maybe I'm just not doing it right. Anyway, I guess it's meant to be like that with the mouth open. And once you get in place, you know, the whole thing can articulate, go down about that far and back. So as far as the arms, the shoulder armor now, so we can go up, down, left, right. So you have plenty of flexibility in there. We know these wrist bracers can spin. You can kind of see the overall chest armored. You know, you can twist at the waist, and then you can still spin at the boots with these on. And here's one last look at the Eagle Tank armored setup. Now I got the battle ram in hand, head facing that way, blasters ready to go. I gotta say, that's a pretty cool look. You know, once you get the helmet and the head set, all the pieces on, that's a pretty neat look for this guy. It's really unique. So moving on with our third and final setup as far as the Masterverse Vykron figure goes with his accessories. Oh, and I'm saying that because I'm going to try everything on the Origins figure too, maybe the Classics. One thing at a time. Let's finish this part up. But so I broke everything off. The head's on, hands are off. So let's check out the Spaceman accessories. So here's a quick look at the main armor that goes on the body. Yeah, that's really cool. Has his breathing apparatus here in the chest piece, just the, you know, the sealing collar there, obviously, like a space guy would have. Its own unique belt, it's the front and the back, and then the helmet. So the helmet's all attached to it. Take a closer look at that. Yeah, really cool. Now, this is going to plug in. So for this particular helmet, you're going to have to remove the head now, and you can see the ball peg. Looks like it's going to snap in there. When you turn it around, too, you notice that the back has a couple holes in it. Now, I'm going to bring something else in. Going back to the Eagle Tank Warrior, because I was like, what are these holes for? Well, it's for the backpack. So you can use a backpack for both of these armors. So bringing in the backpack, or excuse me, jetpack. Check that out. Some kind of clear stabilizing wings. You can see your thrusters in the back. Pretty neat sculpting. It's like something like Stratos' backpack, but you can see those two little hooks. So we're going to bring in this space armored. And once you put this on the figure, or maybe put it on before, it's just going to pop in and lock. And that's how it's going to go onto this armored. Take it off, real easy. And going back to this tank armored, same thing. So this is meant for either armored on this figure setup, which there's really no directions on it. I didn't look at online yet. Just kind of, you know, going by as we're doing this review. So you want to check that out. It's pretty neat. So moving on, of course, you get a pair of wrist bracers that's specifically for the Spaceman setup. Just bright white, you can see, pretty soft. These orange round, or maybe there's some kind of giant buttons to make his backpack go off or something. You hit with your palm of your hand, so you do get those. And you get this, plasma or laser blaster, which that's pretty cool. I like that. Looks like something a magazine would go in. It's got a little silver barrel here, and then it's just a typical Motu style orange. So setting the Spaceman up, we're going to pop the head off first, and then we're going to slide this armor right over top of the neck. And then flipping him around, we're going to bring this belt all the way around so it kind of clips on the same way as the Eagle Tank Warrior, right? Two pegs, so we'll snap that side in like that, and then let me see this side, same thing. It's like really tight. You got to kind of stretch it, but okay, there it goes. And then with the head off, right, we're going to pop this space helmet on to the ball peg like that. We'll put our right bracer on this side, and of course the left bracer on. I don't think it matters. These don't look like they're marked, but just they're both the same. And then of course put the hands back in. And he also comes with a alternative pair of hands with just complete closed punch and fists. So I don't usually use them. I'm just going to put the weapon grab hands, which you need for the weapon anyway, but it's going to put them in now. And we'll put the left side in. And these wrist bracers too, you want to kind of sloppy, but they're supposed to, you know, set up like this so the orange is facing on the outside. All right, and then next we'll put that space jetpack back on, like this. Clicks and locks right down, very easy. And then put our blaster in one of the open hands. And now here's a final look with Vykron set up in his Spaceman outfit or attire. Yeah, that's pretty cool too. Like the jetpack, that armored, the head, the gun, the whole deal. Now you notice too, this particular setup doesn't come with any type of shin guards. So I don't know why they added all his accessories, and all you had to do was add like a whiter, you know, orange type of shin guards like the Classics or something. They didn't do that, so that a little disappointing. But maybe you could use these that come off the Barbarian. They are old-fashioned, but yet I guess they could be modern enough if you want to use those. And here's a quick look with those shin guards on from obviously the Barbarian He-Man and that setup just to give him something on his boots. I guess if you got two of these, you can always maybe take the spare pair off and paint them white, orange, customize them to match that armor. Again, I don't know why I didn't add something to this, but I'm going to take a look at that. It's what the setup looks like. So taking a quick look at the articulation with the Spaceman setup on Vykron, so it can still spin at the waist with the belt on. Has the ab crunch. It will go forward and back because this piece is really soft. Take that backpack off for a minute. With the helmet on, he can go left to right about that far. It's hindered by that apparatus hose. Can look down about that far and back. As far as the shoulder arm, the arm can still go up just about all the way. Go forward and back. You have this. We know these spin. Yeah, that's about all the articulation as far as that setup. Okay, so moving on to a little customization, because that's the fun thing with all this stuff. Now, I'm going to try to focus mainly on the Origins, because that's obviously the most, popular line out alongside the Masterverse. And a lot of stuff does fit these guys. The heads usually fit perfect. But I'm going to start real quick with a Classics figure. Now, it's kind of mixed with the Classics He-Man. So I'm not going to put a lot of time into this. Again, we'll go to the Origins. I'll just set everything up and boom, boom, we'll get it done. But just to show you, so this Classics He-Man body, I did put the helmet on. It is kind of sloppy with the space setup, but it does work with the Classics head off. It has the articulation, and this piece also works. Now, these bracers will work on the hands, but the problem with the Classics hands, a lot of them, is they, unless you heat them up and take time to try to take them off, which are really not meant to, or they're difficult compared to Masterverse Origins, they do snap. And it happened with this hand on my He-Man. I had to put it back on and glue it. Now it does nothing. It's just there. And this one still does spin, but they didn't have the articulation in and out like Masterverse and Origins. So if you want to really mess around and customize it, take the hands off your Classics. These bracers look like it will fit, over once the hands off and up over the arm. So I'm not putting them on. But I just want to show you the Spaceman setup on the Classics body. So again, with the Classics body, this tank armor will also fit over. It looks like it will latch okay. And you can put the backpack on, which that's easy. Same thing. It's going to be the same deal with the bracers. I already looked at them. If you get the hands off, they will work and slide over the main arm. But the problem with this, especially if you're going to use this tank hood head thing, you need Vykron's head. It does not, you can push it down, but it kind of just, see, it doesn't fit on a ball peg. You have to put some tape or something in it to hold it, because you kind of need this, as I showed in the review earlier, to hold this head on. Now, I don't know if we put the Classics He-Man head back on for a second, if you could just throw the hood on. Maybe you can. Yeah, you kind of do something like that. It's going to, fall over the place. You could kind of force it on, set it up, and it sort of would work. And here's a quick look with Classics He-Man set up with the Vykron Barbarian setup. Everything fits perfect. Got the action hand, the armor, the fur. I got these shin guards on, and again, see the bracers, unless you can get the hands off, they look like they will fit and slide over his the sculpted on bracers, which do not come on off. They're sculpted, but they look like they will work. And it will be the same thing with these bracers for the tank setup. So you get the hands off, they look like they will slide right up the arm and work. And here's a lower shin guard from the tank setup. Obviously, that also fits the Classics. So yeah, once again, with a little modification, care, and the whole hand removal thing, all these parts will pretty much fit the Classics. All right, so getting back to the Origins, we're going to basically make him an Origins Vykron figure, because I think we can do it with most of the parts. And of course, the most important part is we need the head. So we're not going to use this head. So we're all familiar now to set up with how the figure goes together. From what I know, or tried, maybe I'm wrong with things. Tried some Classics, but going back to that Origins, I'm using a 2000X Origins He-Man, obviously, so I'm going to pop the head off. Now, mine has a little bit of custom stuff going on. One piece, actually. So this is an actual loincloth from the 2000X He-Man figure that the waist broke. And I cut it, modified it with the Origins so you can pop the waist apart. And that's how I put it on, and it worked. I just thought this is a good figure to use because of the wrist bracers. But these, I don't know if I can get these off. So hopefully the other bracers will go on. And yeah, it kind of looks similar, with the setup, with the belt and everything, to the Masterverse figure. So with the 2000X Origins body, of course, I popped the head off, as you already seen, and I put the Vykron head on this. It fits perfect, articulates well. Yeah, even the skin tone, it's a little, it works. It works really well on his figure. So we need this head, obviously, to try all the setups. Now, I'm not going to go through everything. We already did that with the Masterverse setup. So I'm just going to set up in all three outfits, and we'll take a look. So for the first setup, we have now our Origins Vykron set up in his traditional Barbarian outfit. Everything fits perfect for the most part. Head articulates, armored. Yeah, even the shin guards. Of course, they have to go over the boot. Articulation works. Even the wrist bracers did go on. You have to stretch them over these bracers on the arms a little bit, and you can still get the arms in, the hands in. They can still move and articulate, and the axe also fits in the hand, but kind of falls out. Origins has weird hands. It does work, obviously. I'm messing around with it, but you want to check that out. And yeah, awesome setup. Look, it looks like it was a Origins Vykron in the making. And moving on to setup number 2, got our Origins Vykron Spaceman now. Yeah, everything fits pretty decent. The wrist bracers, you got to kind of force on, but you can still plug the hands in. They sort of have articulations, kind of tight. The gun does fit in hand. The armor's absolutely perfect. Backpack, of course. Problem is this head, it's a little tricky because it can't, it's floating on, it can't go lock all the way down in a ball peg right, like the Masterverse, because of next rays. That's, you can modify it or push this armor down a little bit. That's a problem. So it kind of fits, but, unless you're moving around a lot, it's going to keep popping off. Unless you can extend this peg or modify it. But if you can pop it on or put a piece in there, that's what it would look like if it's just on your shelf. It does hold, and it looks pretty cool. So that's the only downfall. Aside that, yeah, everything works perfect and looks great on this figure. And now for the final Origins Vykron setup. Of course, we have our Eagle Tank Armor Warrior. Yeah, everything fits pretty cool. You got to mess around with the wrist bracers a little bit to force these hands on. The outer straps can be stretched. These shin guard, ankle guard things, they a little sloppy, but they work great. Okay, backpack. The armor fits on perfect. The head and even the Eagle Tank itself. Now this you got to fool around with because it's the same problem. It's like the ball neck isn't raised tall enough like the Masterverse to adjust this, but it does fit. It doesn't go down all the way. It doesn't look too bad, but it does articulate. You got to mess around with it, so forth and so on. But otherwise, it's yeah, it looks pretty cool. It works well. And this battle ram thing, yeah, it just falls out of the hands. Like I said, Origins has terrible hands. They should have sculpted the fingers or had them bent in a little more. They're always dropping weapons, depending on the figure. But check that out. It looks pretty cool. All right, so yeah, that was a lot of work setting all those guys up. I'm almost 3 days in the making with this video in parts. Anyway, I gotta say, like, this is one of the coolest Masterverse figures yet. I mean, as far as Mattel Creations exclusive, my favorite setup and works best, I think, is this Eagle Tank Warrior. Now, of course, I have him set up on the Masterverse body. It is really designed for that head, but you could squeeze this on a Classics head or a Origins head if you wanted to. But this is the setup I'm going to leave on this figure. Now, here's my Origins over here set up. I think the best setup on him is the Barbarian look. And, of course, I just threw the 2000X He-Man head on, or you can put the vintage He-Man head on. But everything works well on that setup. And here's my Classics over here. Had the space set up. Again, everything fits pretty well aside the wrist bracers. You'd have to modify the hands for any of those, as I already mentioned earlier. And the helmet's just sitting on there. It's not doing much, but it's not popping off either. So you want to set up the Classics or the Origins the same way, because the neck piece, like the Masterverse, isn't raised high enough to catch that. When you customize, you modify, you can make anything work, but that's the best part about all this equipment with this Vykron figure. It really, for the most part, with a little mix and match and stretching, being patient, works on everything. I think it's awesome. So, hopefully this answers all you guys' questions and you guys want to pick this figure up. I think he's still on sale on Mattel Creations. I think it's a great figure. It's fun to have. And finally see a Vykron that goes back to really the beginning of the source material of the Motu lore franchise way in the beginning, where his whereabouts came from. So, again, appreciate everybody watching. Until next time, take care.